Now, something that I really have to speak with you that I probably can't have a conversation with anyone else is the painting of planes. Now, that's something Alaska Air does very well. Recently, you had held the paint the plane competition. In fact, you personally were in charge of Salmon 30 Salmon and the repainting of Disneyland planes. Now, tell me, what's the story behind painting of planes, and how does this play into the overall branding image?
Yeah, it's a great question. Yeah, one of my nicknames is Plane Painter because I've been the project manager for all of our custom liveries ever since we painted one blue, which was an AlaskaAir.com livery back when we needed to promote our website. Now we have 50% of our revenue coming through the channel, but at the time it seemed like a good idea, and that. A lot of airlines have painted planes. It's certainly not novel. Western, of course, sold the sides of their planes, if you remember those.
Right, yep.
They had the Simpsons plane, and they did some casinos, and it was a good revenue stream. Now, we never entertained that. We view our airplanes as, near off limits from a kind of a advertising format. But when the opportunity came to work with Disneyland, that's such a huge promotional partner of ours, and such a big part of our network to promote the fact that we fly to Southern California.
Right.
That was a natural, and when you think about it, Mickey Mouse is literally one of the most powerful, visual assets in the entire world. And so for us to have the only aircraft in the world with Mickey Mouse on the tail is really a point of pride for us, and I should say Disneyland. And it's a huge point of pride for us. So for that was a no-brainer. Now what we do better than anybody, I think, is the actual painting. If you look at most custom paint jobs out there, Southwest has a lot of really cool-looking ones.
Yep.
They're masked and they're very flat paint. But if you look at our liveries, they're actually airbrushed, and we view them more as works of art than just designs to communicate a message. And so, Minnie Mouse is really lifelike, and Mickey Mouse has got a lot of expression.
Right.
In fact, I'll share this anecdote with you. When the Mickey Mouse plane was cloaked in absolute secrecy. And so when we did air-to-air footage, we painted up in Everett, Washington, and they moved it at night. They actually covered the entire plane in black visqueen.
Wow.
And so we called these two pilots in to fly this air-to-air footage for us, and these pilots knew nothing, of course, of this project. So imagine it was like out of a movie. It was this big white bear hangar with just this beautiful gleaming 737-400 with this the livery in the middle of it. And the pilots came in, and they just stopped dead in their tracks with their mouth open. They couldn't believe it. But on the back of the plane, if you look at it, Goofy has whiskers. The pilot actually reached for one. He thought it was a PETA tube.
Wow, I'm going to check this plane out again.
So, I mean, it's very lifelike, very dimensional, and just a lot of fun with that. The most intricately painted aircraft that we have, which I believe is still the most intricately painted commercial aircraft probably in the world, is that Salmon 30 Salmon, which we did in partnership with the Alaska Fisheries Marketing Board. That was a true work of art. It took us 25 days to paint. And
wow.
Mark Boyle was the artist on that. Mark's actually, he's an interesting combination because he works for Teague, which is an airline exterior and interiors design company that works largely with Boeing. But he's also an artist and an avid fisherman, so he was the one guy in the world that could really help us bring that to life, and he really did that. And for us, that was supporting our home state, Alaska, supporting a very important industry for us.
Right.
And so we ask a couple questions before we would ever paint a plane with somebody. Is it going to be brand additive? Are our employees going to like it? Is it going to resonate with our customers? And does it support a strategic, an important message for us? And so if you look at all the planes we've done, it lines up with that. The third Disney plane we did promotes our partnership with Make-A-Wish, which is long-standing and very extensive. That was actually a request by Make-A-Wish. They were so grateful for the Alaska Airlines long-term partnership.
Right.
That they just said, how do we help promote Alaska? Because they've wanted to do that for so many years, and we've been very quiet about our long-time support. And then with the State of Alaska 50th anniversary of statehood, that also falls in line with that. And for that one, as you referenced, we did something very unusual, is that we opened that up as a statewide coloring contest for kids. Got thousands of entries all throughout the state, and if you spend any time on painttheplane.com, which it sounds like you have, if you haven't, just visit that site. You can see all the runner-ups.
Oh, yes, I've been to all of that. In fact, I spoke in one of my interviews about that effort and how much I admired that effort.
Oh, great, yeah. It was thrilling, and the Hannah Hamburg, the winner, is just a delight. I think she's going to be president someday. She's just an amazing people, and so she is a very deserving child. And you think about it, she's going to have just an amazing show and tell for probably 5 years when that thing flies. And not many people are the artists behind a 120-foot long canvas. That'll also be painted on a 400 because that's the aircraft type that we fly throughout Alaska.
Right. That's brilliant.
So a lot of fun. We should be painting that in April, and that'll be our last custom paint. We're actually, as a side note, Mickey Mouse, our Mickey aircraft, which we call Spirit of Disneyland, is going away at the end of next year. So we're going to scramble and either replace that aircraft with some similar design, or we're going to have to find something else because our employees are real passionate about that aircraft.
Certainly, lots of broken hearts, I guess.
Yeah.
Now, something you mentioned just earlier in this, when you were answering this question, was ancillary incomes from painting these planes. That's what some airlines do, but that's not what Alaska Air does. So tell me a little more about ancillary incomes and how important they are, firstly to the business model and then secondly to the brand itself.
Yeah, another great question, and one that we're discussing internally quite a bit as we balance what I think all airlines balance is that ancillary revenue versus customer impact and the brand hurt it does. And we're not as far on the right as Southwest in refusing to add baggage fees. We did add a second baggage fee, but we're really the only major carrier apart from Southwest without a first bag fee.
Right.
And we're holding on that decision for the time being. We have no doubt that we're leaving a lot of revenue on the table, but we've resisted. Because the fuel's down now, and so we don't think the initial justification is there as it was when fuel was at north of $120 a barrel. But more importantly, our tenets on easy flying and customer service. That goes against both of them. Specifically, easy flying for our most frequent passengers, because what we've heard from a lot is that what they're experiencing in carriers with that first bag fee is that the onboard experience has gotten much worse as people jam everything they can.
Right.
That carry-on, which has slowed down boarding and deplaning, which is something that we're very much concentrated on under the heading of operational improvement. And so we've resisted that fee. That's the biggest ancillary revenue form that's probably out there for the taking that we haven't done. But we have not done things like charging for an advanced seat assignment, which some airlines do.
Right.
Preferred seating is something that we're looking at in terms of giving access to some seats that people don't have right now.
Right.
But for that, we balance the needs of our most frequent flyers who now have access to those seats. So right now, that's on the back burner. So what we're trying to do, Shashank, is look for ancillary revenues forms that are brand additive or brand neutral, and are really for folks who, want to choose to do more, to want, a bundled experience. So, for example, we've just started selling trip insurance. That's a win-win for those customers that want it. They can buy it. They can get some peace of mind. They can have a product that's a great one to have. But for those customers who don't want it, they can stick with the base price.
Right.
So we like those. We're very competitive on the fees. They're very reasonable. And for us, the default comes to, it's just common sense. Does it make sense, and is it fair?
Right.
And, we totally understand why most of the airlines raced for a first bag fee when fuel was that high, but I don't see any airlines pulling them off now that the fuel
exactly the tragedy
$40 a barrel. So, at some point, we're going to have to make that tough decision too on balancing the competitive advantage that other airlines now have with that increased revenue fee, with our discipline around the brand experience. So. This discussion continues, and I don't think there's any clear-cut answer for you, but we'd like to think that we're on the side of the customer on this one.
Right. Now, talking about competition, you just mentioned that one of the biggest competitors Alaska Air is facing on the West Coast is Virgin America, another very strong brand and offering great customer service and a great product, and it's competing with an airline, Alaska Air, which is just equally good. Where do you see this going?
We don't know. We don't have that crystal ball. For us, it's just sticking with our game plan, which really is no different than where we do everything else. It's, utilizing those levers that we have. And one of those is a very strong, mileage plan. We have a great loyalty system in that. The other is a dominant schedule. For those business travelers, schedule can be king. And, we have that competitive advantage in boup of those. Price is a lever that they pull and have pulled often, and we've matched it. And so when they have a $49 walk-up fare, we have a $49 walk-up fare. And so, that lever we've taken away from them. They do have a great product. They have a good onboard experience. Of course, we've flown them. They have very engaged employees. But, they have a very different vibe.
Right.
And I'm not, on the West Coast, we think, especially in the Pacific Northwest, we think that we have a product that matches the sensibilities and the wants of those folks who want a combination of, respect and easy flying and great customer service. And so we're confident. We've been around for 76 years, actually 77 years. So, we've seen a lot of good airlines come at us. And while we're a relatively small carrier, when you come from a state like Alaska, you're pretty tough. So we're gonna stick it out with these guys. And Virgin is just one competitor that we face. We face a lot of them.
Right.
One of the best run airlines in the world is Southwest Airlines. We compete against them. We have a lot of respect for that brand. But we're sticking with our game plan, and we think it works.
That's brilliant. Now let's move on to last few predictions for 2009. Where do you see airlines, not just in the US but globally, where do you see airlines heading in 2009?
Wow, well, 2009 is kind of here and gone almost, if you think about it. Isn't it amazing? I think you're going to see, in the United States, I think you're going to see airlines continue to be more reactive than ever.
Right.
As we're faced with, obviously, a totally different problem than we were last year. It's on the revenue, the problem's on the revenue side.
Right.
Airlines were pretty amazing in their ability to pull some costs out very quickly. Of course, the biggest lever most airlines pulled was the capacity reduction and assorted furloughs and job losses.
Right.
But now, I think harder levers are to get more revenue, and that's where we're focused this year. Last year, our key was the operation. This year, our key is revenues. And so not only do we need to go out and grab more revenue, but we need to improve our unit revenues as well, and that's kind of where we're focused with. And my hunch is that other airlines are going to be in a similar situation. They're going to be looking for other ancillary revenues. They're going to probably be looking to productize. I think airlines are going to start looking to Europe and finally break some of those onboard retail
right.
Kind of mores and programs that they've been leery to cross. I think people are watching U.S. Air closely. They've gone quickly there in that model with charging with soft drinks and
that's right.
and coffee. That's not something that we are entertaining doing.
Yeah, not something I'm truly fond of as well.
No, and that's working for them possibly. But where we're at, I think we're in for this for the long haul, because where we see obviously the economy is going to be the preeminent driver of business decisions in 2009. We are going to get through this economic recession.
Right.
And those brands that stay as true as possible to their customer promise, and those companies that go out and remind the marketplace what they offer in terms of that combination of what means value to different customers, and that's not always the lowest fare. I think those are the brands, those are the airlines that are going to come out ahead, and that's what we're looking to do. But it's going to continue to be very dynamic, and there's other business models out there, it's clear that there's always going to be your very low amenity, low fare carriers. Allegiant is an interesting case study of that right now.
Yep.
It proves that there's a market segment that doesn't need anything but transportation from A to B.
Exactly.
And a low price. So that's going to be here to stay. And I think Southwest is now caught between that and those high fare carriers, or higher amenity carriers, and I think they're riding that dance. So it'll be interesting to see which way Southwest goes, whether or not they can tolerate to keep their no-fee policy, because they're leaving obviously hundreds of millions of dollars on the table.
Right.
And so, I don't know if I've got great predictions. I think it's going to be a really interesting year. If fuel stays below $40 a barrel through the year, ironically, I think it'll be a very profitable year for the airline industry. And obviously, I'm not on the financial side, but if you think about, in aggregate, the billions of dollars of swing that represents between, $140 a barrel and $40 a barrel, that's a lot of cost.
Right.
And despite the revenue, airlines are going to pull capacity down to match the demand. That's the one lever that's relatively available to them. And so if fuel stays where it's at, I think you're going to see pretty profitable industry. If fuel does not stay down there and it goes up, then it could be quite tumultuous with airlines balancing that need to cut capacity and as much cost as possible. So hang on to your hat.
What about Alaska Air? What's something exciting we can expect from Alaska Air in 2009?
Well, it's going to be a resurgent messaging into the marketplace. We're going to go out there and remind folks, not only in markets where we don't have great brand awareness like California, but in markets where we do, specifically in Seattle. We're going to remind Seattle that, hey, we're the hometown carrier. We've got great utility here, but not only that, but we've got a great customer service standard. We're even going to make sure the folks in Alaska understand that. And so for us, the exciting news here is that we've got some things in the hopper. We've got a real engaged workforce that's ready to remind folks that they're a little different, and they've been different for a long time. And so we're gonna drive as much of that on the marketing side as possible. We've got a lot of interesting things going on the online side. We're going to be very aggressive on the online channel. We've got a great team in our e-commerce area that continues to build up what we think is the finest website in the industry.
Right.
And so it's gonna be exciting. We've got some new destinations coming in August. We're flying Seattle, Austin. We're connecting Portland to Maui.
Wow.
So for us, we're going to remain nimble. We might have to pull planes from underperforming markets and put them into new markets that we can garner some more revenue. So for us, there's never a boring day here.
Right. Now, finally, Greg Latimer in 2009. What's something you're personally looking forward to?
Without a doubt, it's bringing a new brand campaign to the marketplace. We've already informed our employees on some of our plans, and we're actually engaging our employees. We're asking them to help us with the radio creative that we're doing. We're helping them define what it is to be, Alaska Airlines, and so it's really harnessing all of that content and input from our employees and bringing it to the marketplace and having some fun with it and making sure that people understand that we've got a good thing going here at Alaska Airlines and working with our partner Horizon Air to communicate that message in obviously a fun way, but more importantly in an effective way.
Right.
We're applying a big discipline to this marketing effort, and we're going to measure its effectiveness and hopefully come out on the positive side.
That's brilliant. Thanks a lot for sharing your thoughts with us, Greg, and it's been a pleasure having you on.